Welcome to the Truth to You Daily Podcast, a podcast designed for teenagers who want to learn more about God's Word and how it impacts our daily lives. Journey with us as we set out to explore God's timeless truth one day at a time. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This is a special edition, a Saturday sit-down, and it's a continuation of our new series, Everything in Between, which means I have with me here in the Truth to You studio, once again, the lovely, the wonderful Christina Devane.
Thank you so much. Great to be here for episode number 3.
Yep, and we've had a great couple of weeks here recently, and we do these every couple of weeks, and we've had, especially with all the great weather we've been having, we've gotten some opportunity to get out and enjoy it. I know some people just like to look at it, but we've been doing some sledding, I guess you'd call.
Lots of activity, yes. I guess that was last weekend. We had some great sledding, and I grew up in Minnesota, did lots of sledding every single recess as a child, and this was really up there with some of my best sledding experiences. So
yeah, we for those of you who
great.
don't know, we took a little bit of time on, I guess it was last Friday, and we went to the property that we will be purchasing as a church, and it's the developers there. It's Concora Development, and they just happen to have a really awesome hill on the property that we are buying. We don't own quite yet. But just a great hill. It levels out. There's a road, and then beyond the road, there's another hill. And this road, of course, is not in use. But when it snowed, it's just covered everything. And so you go down the first hill, and you kind of level out, and you go across the road, slide across
up in the air,
and then down the next embankment, which actually ends up in a retention pond. But because it's winter, there's no water in there.
So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah,
I was rather impressed, actually.
Lots of fun. So that was a big highlight. What else has been going on?
It was. Well, we did have my birthday after that.
Yes, we did.
So it's been quite a week of school off, sledding,
yes,
birthday celebrations.
Right.
So it's been a fun week.
Yes, she turned 29 again.
Yes.
We won't say.
I actually don't mind saying my age.
What is it?
If everybody wants to know, I turned 31.
Wow.
I guess I'm proud of my age. I don't know
okay,
why.
all right.
I'm happy to be in the 30s, I will say.
Well, I'm happy you're in the 30s too.
Yes,
That's
I wanted
good.
to.
Welcome.
I came and joined
well,
you.
Welcome to the 30s.
Thank you.
Life will never be the same.
I had my first year in the 30s last year.
Yeah.
And wasn't too bad.
And teenagers, let me just tell you, these teen years are great. You're going to enjoy your 20s, but let me just tell you, from experience, the 30s are really not that bad. You'll enjoy those too. And once I get to the 40s, I'll let you know about that as well.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
We'll digress
see about
there. All right. Well, let's go ahead and share a truth or a quote that's sort of been helping us recently. And I guess I'll go first.
Yep. You do that.
A lot of times, you go first, but I just got the signal I need to go first. So.
Yep, you're going first. Okay, sorry.
Right. Okay, so I'll keep it short here, but was listening to a conservative commentator recently, and he was posed a really interesting question, and this was the question: should a conservative date a liberal? And we don't get too political here on the podcast, okay? But
no, we don't.
But interesting question, and I just thought his answer was so good. I wanted to bring it to the podcast here, and this is what he said, and it's so good. He said this. He said the number one commonality when it comes to marriage ought to be values. That ought to be the number one factor. That needs to be the foundation. Do my values and their values, are they the same? Do they agree? And then beyond that, you have interest, which is, well, this person likes a painting. I don't like this painting. Interests don't really matter all that much, although it does help when you're interested in the same things. But when it comes right down to it, whether you're a conservative or a liberal, all those things are connected to values. And if you don't have the same values, boy, that's going to be
a struggle.
That's going to be a really, really tough relationship.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was great. Wanted to share that. And so teenagers, as you're thinking about relationships and all of that, once you get into your 40s and 50s, I'm just kidding.
We're not even there yet.
Sure. But anyway, when that comes, just remember that. You meet somebody and they are like totally at the different end of the spectrum when it comes to values, especially Christian values, which is what...
Right. It needs to be the foundation.
Yeah, which is what it's all about. Values are that first layer and that foundational layer. So I thought that was such a great thing. What about you? What do you got?
Very good. So I've been doing just a lot of reading in Proverbs and mostly the beginning few chapters, just doing some studying, and just how wisdom and folly, they're both personified as a woman. We have Lady Wisdom and Lady Folly, and just how much the Bible talks about, wisdom, is you're supposed to cry after wisdom, you need to seek wisdom. Wisdom tells you to that she is going to seek you, and how much wisdom is basically crying out, saying, "Listen to me. I am going to teach you the right way, good understanding, instruction, all these different things." And Lady Folly, on the other hand, is calling out to you as well. But how much Lady Folly sounds good, can be really deceptive. But her path, a lot of times even she's, Lady Folly is the strange woman. But just the metaphor of, Lady Folly is not following wisdom. It's the path of destruction. If you listen to Lady Folly, and just how much that it will ultimately bring you destruction, but just the path is very deceitful, and just how much following wisdom is going to keep you from all of that.
Excellent thought. Excellent thought. That's good. Well, this is usually the segment where we get into random revelations. We're going to sub out this week. We're calling an audible.
Audible?
Yeah, we're calling an audible right now. And we're going to go with something totally different. And,
okay.
And we're actually going to give a few jokes of the week. Okay, so when it comes to jokes, these made the all-time top of the list this week for jokes.
Wow. Like, it was Googled? Like, top jokes of February 2021?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so this is what we've got. All right, so I'll share the list with you here so you can share these.
Okay.
And I don't have to be the one who repeats these. I don't want the credit for all of this. So let's go ahead and look at the first one here, and feel free to laugh out loud, teenagers, as you're listening to this. But did you hear the rumor about butter?
The butter.
Well, I'm not going to spread it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
pretty good.
That's
Spread
good.
the butter.
Right.
We need to explain some of these for some of our listeners, because you never know who's going to get them.
We've had some ears that have never spread butter before.
Very true.
So
butter in the refrigerator is hard, but if you leave it out, it will become soft.
Yeah.
And then you spread it.
Around. I just was thinking, but our listeners are really getting educated with this podcast. I mean, baking instructions and good jokes and all kinds of stuff. So, all right, let's continue on. Why don't you read the next one?
All right. What do you call someone with no body and no nose? Wow, that's a struggle.
What do you call them?
Nobody knows.
I love that joke. That's such a good one. And
nobody knows.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to be honest. I have not read all of these jokes. We are scanning them before we read them, obviously. But these were given to me.
Oh,
and
I see.
By a very special individual, and they know who they are. But I'm just going to say that this may be my favorite joke we're going to read.
Yes.
I don't really
so
know. But that
no,
one's good.
nobody knows, like N-O body, and then knows, K-N-O-W-S.
That's really good.
Big
That's
play
really
on
good.
words.
Okay, all right. Here's the next one. Why can't a nose be 12 inches long? Why can't a nose be 12 inches long?
This is pretty good. Because then it would be a foot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually probably my favorite one.
I just wish we had the badoom bach that we had during the Midwinter Retreat.
Yes.
That would make it so special.
I like that one.
You can get your drum set out of the closet. We don't have that. Okay. All right.
The baby toys.
Let's do one more, and then we gotta hurry up if we're gonna keep this to 15 minutes. So go ahead.
All right. I've got a great joke about construction.
I've not looked at this. I'm hearing it for the first time. Go ahead.
I've got a great joke about construction.
Oh, that was the
But I'm still working on it.
I'm still working on it. That's good. Not as good as the other two.
The 12 inches in foot is my favorite. But yeah,
that's good.
Construction is work. If nobody knows what construction is, I'm sorry.
Right. And just to let you know, if you do choose to repeat these jokes, make sure you give credit to the Truth to You podcast. Share it, like it with your friends, and point them in this direction. Okay. All right. Enough with the jokes of the week.
Yes,
let's go right into what are you reading? What are you reading right now?
I actually picked up a classic that I have started by Jane Austen, which I realize a lot of people don't even know who she is, but she is a classic writer. She was born in 1775, wrote into the early 1800s. She wrote some very classic British novels, and Pride and Prejudice is her most famous. A lot of people have probably seen that movies. I am actually reading Persuasion, which it is also a movie, but not near as popular as the others. But I have started it, and I'm actually enjoying it. So I've only read Pride and Prejudice before. This one, I've just discovered, with those type of books, I can't listen to them because I don't follow along very well. But if I read them, the hard copy, I get it. It makes more sense.
Those are the kind of the books it takes me 10 minutes to read one page. I don't.
So
read
yeah,
those
I do
quickly.
have to read it a little bit slower, and I'm realizing it's more the style, how sentences are put together, the structure of it. Like there's a lot of semicolons, and some sentences just kind of go on for a while.
Yeah.
So you have to stay engaged.
Well, and our teenagers, listening, would be well acquainted with some of that classic literature of the past, and so I think that's
what, because they read the Bible.
Well, okay.
What are you referring to?
They do. They do
class?
happen to have an education at Temple.
Well,
I think JD is actually their teacher, and he is a big fan of British literature.
Yes.
Didn't know if you knew that or not.
I did actually.
Okay.
No, I'm curious if he's read Persuasion.
I guess you'll have to ask him sometime.
All right. So what are you reading?
I'm reading nothing right now. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I finished a book. I will say this. I finished a book that was 300 pages long, and I've been trying to finish it for like 3 weeks, and I just had to push through, and I got done with that. But I started a book, Killing Crazy Horse.
Oh,
doesn't that sound like a good book?
Yes,
I
really want to read that one.
All right, so a little context here. I enjoy reading history.
Yes.
And I love, there's a Killing series. Bill O'Reilly is the author, and I do enjoy the books that he writes. He does it in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
So entertaining, does a good job with it. So anyway, I started that, and already I'm getting into it. I'm only one chapter in, but it's this is really the last collective standoff that the American Indians sort of put together in order to try to fight the American government. And so this is kind of like the last stand. And just getting into it, Andrew Jackson is in there, and boy, he was an interesting individual. But he's being called upon to lead this against the collective groups of Americans, and it's going to get really interesting quickly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Sounds
excited
very
about that.
interesting.
And I know teens do a lot of reading because they're studying for things, but just encourage you, get your hands on a good book, expand your knowledge. And, if you're looking for some good book suggestions, maybe we've got a ton of good ones that I think would be good for you at this age of your life. And maybe you'd be interested in those. Seek us out.
Yeah, just ask us.
That'd maybe be a good segment in the
Actually,
future.
yes.
Yeah,
sounds great.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. And this is our final segment before we let you go. And what we're going to do is we did just come through Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Yeah, and
the
so
month of love.
then a lot of reflecting on our relationship just in general, but sort of our love story. And so just for the next few minutes or so, what we're going to do is we're just going to present just some highlights from our love story. And really what this is this isn't everything that we learned through the process of getting to know each other and
that would be a long
getting together. That would be
many podcasts, actually.
That would be, but this is just a couple of the things that we wanted to point out that maybe will be of help to you at some point as teenagers, as people seeking, a right and proper relationship within the confines of God's will. So
Exactly.
why don't I let you go ahead first and something that you learned with our love story.
So I'll fast forward from high school, more just when I got into college. I didn't have any attachments to anybody. I, very open to whatever God had for me. And several months later, God, I could tell, I felt like God was bringing Scott and I together. But, there's just a lot of unknowns. You can't know for sure, on day one that they are the one. And I would say my biggest thing was the counsel that I sought and asking older adults, people who are already married, asking for their advice, even people who knew Scott, teachers, professors, that type of thing, asking them, hey, tell me honestly, your honest thoughts about Scott Devane, what kind of guy is he? Just getting some different perspectives from different people, and obviously not just his friends are going to be like, oh yeah, he's a great guy. And I would just say, talking with friends and your peers about relationships is fun, and you can do it all day long, but I felt like doing that can just cause a lot more drama. And, your friends do not have the perspective and wisdom that an older person will. Yeah. So that just gave me so much better, I guess, view and perspective on things, and just it was confirming, and answering prayer the prayers I was already praying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And then I would just add to that a little bit, and when something like a relationship is starting to come together and there's mutual interest, it can be very difficult to stay at a neutral position because you just get excited. It is exciting, a new relationship, the potential that's there, finding out new things about, the excitement, all those things. And it can, that's why they say many times love is blind, right? And you have to, when you're getting to know someone, just committing it to prayer and asking the Lord to help you to stay at a neutral position, so that you, as you spend time with this person, as you sort of collect information, you can keep an objective view of the person you're getting to know, so that if it doesn't work out, and the Lord makes that clear and he's pointing another direction, or he's closing this door, you're able to stand back and say, okay, you know what, this isn't what the Lord wants at all, or maybe right now, and you're able to think through it a little bit better. But how often relationships just get going, they catch fire, and people become blind, and that blindness can keep them from making good life decisions. Even, where am I going to go to college? Well, now I'm not going to go because my, good friend is, I love her.
Or I'm going to go somewhere just because somebody else is.
Yeah, and it just gets really, really complicated. So just trying to prayerfully stay at that neutral position, and not throwing yourself all in, but just patiently allowing the Lord to develop things in a proper time.
Yeah, and just keeping a balance, and you can get so infatuated with somebody that it's sort of like they can take over your life, and, every waking minute it's, oh, where are they? When am I going to see them next? Anytime they're around, oh, I have to be right beside them.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing too, I was fearful of getting involved in a relationship and that affecting my relationship with God. And for whatever reason, I guess I just had that assumption that, well, if I get to know somebody and I'm, or dating, whatever, that somehow I wouldn't be as close to God. I don't know why I thought that. But what I found was that the more I got to know him, he encouraged and sharpened me as a Christian, and I grew in my relationship with the Lord as our relationship grew. And that was just another confirmation of, God bringing us together, and that, no, I can walk closely with God and be dating, and eventually fall in love with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that we could say on that. There's just a ton. And the Lord taught us a lot through that. I mean, the Lord just became so real in so many new ways through that process. And I'm really grateful. And, I don't want it to come across as, we wrote the book, on how to get together or anything like that, because, the Lord knows that we're not perfect. Yeah. And, there were areas of growth, that had to take place in both of our lives. But I will say this, that when you give your relationship to the Lord and allow him to dictate timing and call the shots, you're going to be fine. Yeah. In fact, you're going to be more than fine, and you're going to look back and you're just going to praise the Lord for what he's done. So,
and following, just the wise path of God's leading. And at the same time, it's like you can be following on the right path, but that doesn't mean you're never going to have even problems in your relationship, or that you're always going to agree, or, everything is just perfect in this, life of cake and pie, No, there's still hard things sometimes you work through, and, we had disagreements, whatever, but we worked through them, and, God just continued to confirm his will in our lives.
Sure. If you ever need any dating advice, come talk to me.
Yes.
Come talk to us. We'd love
like
to talk to you.
Share.
Or even, you say, Brother Scott, there's somebody I'm praying about, and, boy, we would love to pray with you in that way. So, hey, listen, if you have any questions about the podcast, something that we said or something you're more interested in, feel free to reach out to us. We went a little bit long today.
Yeah, and I didn't get to share my funny story, so I'll have to do that next time.
Oh, we'll have to do it.
Relationship stories.
We'll have to do that next time.
We have many.
Tack that in there, okay? Hope the podcast has been a blessing. It's been just fun to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Our listeners, and then also my dear wife. It's almost like a little date for us.
It is. We send the children away.
I hope the kids are doing all right upstairs. We better go check on them. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Take care.
Bye.